Are you tired of spending too much of your hard-earned money at the supermarket? Are you dreaming of farm fresh eggs, homegrown veggies, and homemade everything? Well, welcome to Ditch the Store, where we break free from supermarket dependence and take back control of our food and household essentials. I'm CJ, and I'm here to show you that life is too short for store-bought eggs. So let's get started. G'day everyone, and welcome to another episode of Ditch the Store. CJ here again on her own. I'm doing massive recording duties today. It's late at night and the first week of the school holidays here in Australia, and I'm trying to cram record as much as I can because I've got a whole bunch of shit coming up over the school holidays. Hopefully, if you are listening to this during the school holidays for you, it's not been too bad and your kids haven't been driving you crazy and the house doesn't look like a bomb site. And you'll have to apologise. There are barking dogs outside because we've had a lot of kangaroos around the house lately, and Roxy, our little kelpie, gets very, very upset when the kangaroos come nearby, and she doesn't like them. So what are we talking about this week? We are still talking about cleaners, and this week we are talking about spray cleaners. And I wanted to touch on it because it's probably the most expensive group of cleaning items that you'll buy, apart from laundry powder maybe, from the supermarket. And that's because people tend to buy a different cleaner for a multitude of different things. So there'll be a glass cleaner, a surface cleaner, a timber cleaner, a wipe down cleaner, a bathroom cleaner. And do we really need them all, I guess, is the big question. So it's episode 124 and we're talking one spray to rule them all. I like that. It kind of makes it sound all like, Lord of the Rings shit. Anyway, it's pretty simple. If you have some of the items that I've already talked about, so if you haven't listened to episode 122 and 123, go back and listen to them first. Probably need to listen to them to get an idea of what we're talking about at the moment, because there'll be things I'll refer to. But if you have a couple of spray bottles and you have some of the items that I've already spoken about, you pretty much are covered. You're going to be able to do whatever you need to do as far as surface cleaners using spray bottles. And spray bottles are really convenient to have it made up already, so you don't have to make up something to clean it. Like it's a pain in the ass having to make things up. If you've got it already made up in a spray bottle, write with a Sharpie on the side of the spray bottle what you put in there. So every time you go back to fill it up, you know exactly how much of each ingredient you're putting in. And then just have that spray bottle as your window cleaner, as your surface cleaner, as your cleaner that you've got for floors, whatever it is. So there's a couple of things that make spray actually work, and we're going to go through that. There's different essential oils, and I can never say this word, surfactants play different roles. I can never say that. I can never say that word. It's the stuff that makes it go on the surface. How to avoid the common natural cleaning fails, and the right spray bottle. So I would say straight up, don't stinge on your spray bottle. I have bought the cheap, nasty ones. Go and buy a decent one. It's honestly, you'll keep using it and keep using it. So yeah. So store-bought cleaners, spray bottles. The thing that really frustrates me about them is that they're 90% water. And so you're paying for something mixed with water. Now, there's a couple of new brands that have come out where they give you a tablet to drop into a spray bottle, and they get it. It's just this tiny little tablet, drops in. You buy a pack of tablets that last you forever, drop a tablet in and add the water. But you can also make it at home yourself. So if you want to buy the tablet ones from the supermarket, be my guest. But it's not that hard to make what they're putting in the tablet. So you're basically paying, with the store-bought ones, you're basically paying for packaging, branding, how it looks, how it smells, that kind of thing, but it's all chemical stuff. If you don't care about that shit, then you could do it much, much cheaper and much nicer than the chemical commercial ones. The fragrances and the cleaning, versus cleaning, sometimes I find that the fragrancy stuff, I don't think it actually cleans. It's just it makes it smell better, so you think it's clean, but I'm not sure that actually does. And I think it can be a little bit deceptive. certainly the labeling that goes on these things is not always great. Spray disinfectants, unless they're clearly labeled as a disinfectant, they are not a disinfectant. So it could say gets rid of 99% of germs. I think one of them does say that. But if it's not labeled as a disinfectant, it's actually not a disinfectant. And even if it is a disinfectant, disinfectants take time to work. So you would need to spray it, leave it for 5 to 10 minutes on the surface wet, and then come back to wipe it off for it to actually be effective as a disinfectant. And they don't say that. They say spray and wipe. I think that's a brand as well. And so it's really encouraging you not to let it do its job, even if that's what it was there for. So what does a good spray cleaner need to be really, really effective? And this is the word that I can't say. Surfactant, which is the cleaning part. It's the bit that, so when you drop soap into an oily water, the oil will separate when the soap hits it. That's what this thing is. I can never say the word, but it is the soap contributing part of it. So it breaks the tension of the water so that it can lift the dirt and the oil from the surfaces. And you can use tallow soap, which is a beef-rendered soap, and that is really good for skin cleaning. It's super, super gentle on skin, so it's awesome for skin cleaning. But for surface cleaning, some people don't like to use tallow because it has a little odor to it and things like that. If that's the case, then castile soap is the plant version of tallow. And castile soap, I spoke about in the last 2 episodes. It's the one that you want as your surface breaker of oil. That's my way of getting around saying that word that I can't say. And the second part of a good spray cleaner is the acid or the solvent part of it. Now, in natural cleaning products, that part is vinegar. And vinegar is the best thing to use for it. It's a 5% acetic acid, and it absolutely does the job. It cuts through the mineral buildup, the soap scum, and bacteria, and it's perfect for households. I'm not ever suggesting that anybody use these homemade products for, say, hospital situations, dental situations where you've got a large number of people coming through. But in a home environment where you've only got the same people living in the house and the same surface, and there's not an overload of different infectious illnesses coming in, this is going to be enough for you. Now, if you want disinfection, if you want that type of thing, that's just for your cleaning products, is the acid and the soap part. If you want disinfection as well, then you really need to look at hydrogen peroxide, or you can also, and I didn't mention it in the last 2 episodes, but rubbing alcohol is another one. I think it's called isopropylene or something. It comes in a green bottle called rubbing alcohol. You can use that as a second step to ensure that disinfectant quality of your cleaning products. So, all-purpose spray, what do you need to put in it? This is my recipe, and I'll put up a blog post, so all these recipes that I've been giving out are all on the webpage. So go to www.majorhomestead.net and I'll have something there about making cleaning products. So everyday cleaner, 2 cups of water, because the spray stuff that you buy at the shop is 90% water anyway, half a cup of white vinegar, 1 tablespoon of castile soap, and then 15 drops of an essential oil. And the essential oil, it can have antibacterial and disinfectant properties, but it's also to make it smell nice so that it doesn't just smell like vinegar and soap. And you get all those, you put the water and the vinegar into, usually you'd need, the spray bottle you're going to be looking for is like a 500ml or a 750ml spray bottle. There's no point getting anything smaller than that. You don't want to be making it up all the time. You want to be able to make up a batch of it and then just use it until it runs out and then make the next batch. And like I said, get a Sharpie and write on the side of your bottle what the ingredients are in that spray bottle so that you know when you get it out next time you just have to go and make that up again. That's what my laundry tub's not in here, but with my laundry soap, I have written in a Sharpie on the side of the glass jar what I put in that soap powder. So each time I know I don't have to think about the recipe. I just grab the jar, chop up my soap, put my bicarb, put my washing soda, put my citric acid in, mix it all in together. So 500 to 750 ml spray bottle. Sorry, got sidetracked. Add the water and vinegar first, then add the castile soap last, and that's just so that it doesn't get too kind of foamy. Then add the essential oils, gently shake it. Don't shake the shit out of it, because if you shake the shit out of it, the soap will go foamy and you'll have all this foam sitting in the top and probably struggle to get the pressure right in the spray bottle. So just give it a gentle shake. The castile soap will distribute all through everything anyway. Now, oils don't mix with water. That's just the way it is. So don't put essential oils just with water and expect them to have the same properties. You need the soap in there to break the tension of the water so that the oils can go through the whole lot. So, or alcohol, or vinegar or rubbing alcohol. But with the soap in there, with the vinegar in there, in with the water, and then the essential oils going in, the vinegar and the soap will be enough to break the tension of the water so that the oil can distribute through the whole lot. Now, that being said, you probably need to give it a gentle shake. That symbol just looks wrong for those watching on YouTube. I apologise. You need to give the bottle a gentle shake before you use it, just to make sure that everything's still distributed properly through there. Now, the essential oil combos. I've gone a bit more in depth with essential oil combos than what I discussed last week. So for a kitchen cleaner, so you're still going to have a couple of different spray bottles, or you could use the same one. I mean, at the end of the day, they kind of do the same thing anyway. But if you have particular areas that you want looked after in different ways, then these are my oil combos that I would recommend for your spray bottles. For a fresh kitchen, some lemon and orange. Now, you could just put lemon and orange juice, but essential oils is probably going to mix better and you don't have to worry about it not lasting on the shelf. So I would go essential oils for those, and tea tree oil. Equal parts of those three in there, or if you just want lemon and tea tree or just orange and tea tree, whatever you like. If you don't like the smell of lemon or don't like the smell of oranges, then yeah. Disinfecting, for a disinfecting spray, tea tree, eucalyptus and peppermint. Now the peppermint, I find it makes everything smell cleaner, but tea tree and eucalyptus straight up to me are disinfecting anyway, and I love the smell of them. And I would be happy with just tea tree and eucalyptus, but if that's too much for you, then peppermint oil is a good one to put in there as well. For bedroom areas or bathroom areas, where you don't need a major disinfecting kind of quality, but you want it calm and clean and smelling fresh, lavender and lemon would be a great mix, particularly in bedroom areas. That would be a really good mix for keeping it soft and not overpoweringly cleaning smell kind of thing. For bug repelling, peppermint and citronella. Oh, I love the smell of citronella. I don't know whether it's just an Australian thing. We get humongous mosquitoes here. I think the only place in the States, oh no, they did have a lot of mosquitoes in the States when I was over there, but definitely Florida and around the Mississippi area, we saw massive mosquitoes there. Even up in Washington though, when we were in Pennsylvania before we dropped into Washington, I can remember there being fairly significant mosquitoes, and we were there in summer obviously. But in Australia we get humongous mosquitoes. We also get spiders and all kinds of other bugs, and everybody always carries on about all our bugs, and then we have like everything in Australia is trying to kill you, which isn't exactly true, but I think we've got 9 out of the top 10 most deadly snakes. But this is peppermint citronella is not going to keep snakes away. I've heard a whisper, and it's never worked. Well, we don't have any growing here in sufficient numbers, but this is a hot tip that I heard as an old wives' tale. If you grow lemongrass along your fence line bordering your house block, so around the edge of your house block if you're on a property, the lemongrass will supposedly stop snakes from coming into your yard. They either don't like the texture of the lemongrass, the way that it grows, and they have to rub past it, or they don't like the smell of it. Now, I did ask a snake handler about that once and say, do they like lemongrass or do they hate lemongrass? And he said, I don't think it makes any difference to them. So could be a complete old wives' tale, but I love the smell of lemongrass too. So maybe grow it. So here you go, let me know. But for bug repelling, Peppermint and citronella. Citronella is burned here in Australia. We have candles that are citronella candles that you burn outside when you're at barbecues and things like that to try and keep the mosquitoes away, because citronella has a huge impact on mosquitoes and they don't like it. So it's always a good thing because we do have monster mosquitoes here. Now, if you want a really clean smell, a good mix that you could do, this is my last little hot tip, is orange, rosemary, and tea tree. I love the smell of rosemary, and I think rosemary has some qualities. Anybody that's more into herbs than I am would tell you that rosemary, I'm pretty sure it has some really good properties for helping you brainstorm and think, and it can be very good for memory to make your brain kind of activate. So orange, rosemary, and tea tree would be a fantastic mix. Now, one thing that I did work out was for kitchen cleaning stuff, you probably want to avoid things that are very florally. And the only reason I say that is because it could be overpowering around food. You probably want things that are more like lemon and orange around food, or even peppermint, because they're more complementary to food smells rather than anti-food smells, and it might be just too much. I know MJ wears some amazing perfumes that she finds, but they're so strong. I find them overpoweringly strong with the floral notes. And so I always find, like when she sprayed them in the house, I'm like, oh, do you have to, can you go outside and spray it on? Because it just, the whole house smells like this, like rose garden afterwards, which, you know, if it's an actual genuine rose garden, that'd be great, but it's a very synthetic-y smell rose garden, which I'm not a fan of. So that's my oil tips. And like I say, I'll try and put a blog post up with all this on there so that you can go and have a look. Now, surface specific adjustments. And that's because not every surface is going to be the same. I mean, cutting down greasy areas compared to, say, mirrors and glass are going to be a little bit different. Mirrors and glass, unless it's a mirrored splashback behind your cooktop, probably not going to be covered in grease. So, it might be covered in finger smudge marks and toothpaste that's flicked off toothbrushes onto the mirror, that kind of thing, if your kids are anything like mine. But for surface adjustments for what you need to. So mirrors and glass, I would say skip the castile soap and go 1-to-1 water vinegar, and then put your little drop of oil in. And so lemon, if it's in the bathroom, maybe lavender or eucalyptus or tea tree if you want to get that really fresh, clean, disinfected-y kind of smell. Marble and granite, absolutely no vinegar. Do not put vinegar in a spray bottle that you're going to use on marble or granite. What you can do is just use water with a teaspoon, so only a very small amount of castile soap. And that's enough to clean it without damaging the surface. If you've spent a fortune getting marble or granite countertops, or somebody has when they built the kitchen, you don't want to damage them. My house that I had in Bonner when we still lived in town, I had beautiful stone bench tops, and I ended up going and buying stone cleaner because I didn't know this at the time. But I ended up going and buying stone cleaner because everybody had me so terrified that I was going to damage these stone countertops by cleaning them with something that they weren't meant to be cleaned with. And so I just bought the commercial version of the granite cleaner. But in all honesty, castile soap, which is a very gentle, it's a vegetable oil based soap, is not going to damage your granite or your marble countertops. And realistically, you don't need very much of the soap. So one teaspoon of soap to water in a 500 ml would probably be enough. And adjust it. If you feel like it's not cleaning it enough, maybe just put 2 teaspoons or 1.5 teaspoons in and see if that's enough to get any grime off there. For anything that is like electronics, like screens of computers, phone surfaces, things like that, you can use the rubbing alcohol that I talked about, which is isopropyl alcohol. I'm sure I don't know if that's how it's pronounced. It used to come in, as a kid, this is what I remember, in a green bottle, and I thought it had an alligator or a crocodile on the label, and it said rubbing alcohol. And Mum and Dad used to use it to clean things, so clean wound sites. If one of the dogs or any of our animals got hurt, they would put rubbing alcohol on it. I'm sure it hurt like fuck, like if it was anything like hydrogen peroxide, I'm sure it hurt massively, but it did the job as far as disinfecting. So you can use that and just a soft cloth. So just a little spray of that. I would mix it with water. I'd probably go 1-to-1 with water and spray it and then just quickly wipe it over. But don't soak things in it because it can be quite strong. Babies and kids areas, I would say water and castile. You could put a little bit of vinegar in, but it would depend on what you're trying to achieve. And lavender or eucalyptus. Lavender is such a calming oil that lavender around kids would be great, and eucalyptus is also very good, and because it has the disinfectant properties in it as well, so that would also be awesome. Now for boosting things. So if that's not enough, and like I said, with the granite tops, you really need to work out what's going to work best. So just up the soap just a little bit at a time until you get to a level where you feel like it's really cleaning it off. And then if there's any soap scum, sorry, tangled words, soap scum from the castile soap left on the countertop, I would just be using straight water and a damp cloth to wipe any of the soap scum off. Granite and marble, they're just really tricky as far as not damaging them. So don't always patch it somewhere if you're going to use anything on there. Even the commercial things, patch it somewhere inconspicuous. But then, yeah, just go as gentle as you can until it gets it as clean as you want. But there may be times that you want to, do a bit more. And certainly things like your stovetops, so your cook countertops. We have a gas countertop here, a gas hob that we cook things on. Now, we cook a lot of meat because we live, mostly keto or carnivore kind of lifestyle. So we do cook a lot of meat, and we do try and cook it outside on the barbecue if we're cooking big slabs of meat. But when we're cooking other meat, meat splatters. There's we've got a little thing that we put over the top of the fry pan to stop the splatter, but obviously it's not foolproof. Not for our household anyway. So you will end up with a little bit of grease and build up around your kitchen hobs, around your gas hobs. And sometimes you need a little bit more than just the vinegar and soap and that to get through. So when that happens, I would say into that mix that I gave you at the beginning, the water, vinegar and castile soap, add 1 teaspoon of baking soda. The bicarb soda, bicarb soda, to me it's the same thing. It works like a really good degreaser, and it works fantastic on laundry as a really good degreaser too. So if you're washing, I always try and keep our washing machine reasonably clean. I feel like it's hard to make the washing machine work properly if itself is not clean. Same as I can't stand it when I see sinks that haven't been cleaned. I wash the sink out with cleaning stuff at the end of washing up, because if it's a clean sink, it's easier to clean dishes in. If it's a dirty sink, it's harder to clean dishes in. So 1 teaspoon of baking soda is enough to cut through that grease and make it really kind of come clean. For disinfectant, spray bottle, let it sit. So do the vinegar spray bottle for the disinfectant, let it sit, and then in a separate bottle, and we talked about it last week, we never mix hydrogen peroxide with vinegar. It makes a chemical reaction and causes a fume that is toxic, so you don't want that. I can't think of the name of the chemical that it makes, but it mixed together they make a chemical. So 1 bottle with spray vinegar in it, and if you feel like the spray vinegar is too strong on its own, dilute it, so 1-on-1. And hydrogen peroxide 1-on-1 diluted as well. Spray the vinegar, let it sit, wipe it down. Then after you've wiped the vinegar up, spray with the hydrogen peroxide mix of 1-on-1 with water, and then let it sit for a little while before you wipe it up, and you will get a disinfectant property out of that. Now, it sounds like you've got a million bottles, but honestly, you'll have 1 for the bathroom, 1 for the kitchen as a degreaser, 1 for the kitchen as a kitchen surface, and 1 for glass. That pretty much should cover you for everything. And realistically, you probably got that many bottles from the supermarket anyway. So, on the greater scheme of things, that's not that bad, considering it's the same things in a lot of those bottles, just maybe in different ratios. I have a big note there. Do not put vinegar and peroxide in the same bottle. There we go. I have written it down so that I would remember. It creates peracetic acid, which is way too harsh and potentially harmful and makes a toxic gas. You don't want that. So do not do that. Now, best spray bottles for natural cleaning. Even though I am an incredible tight ass and I don't like spending any more than I have to, one thing I will say is I get so frustrated by cheap, crappy spray bottles. They drive me insane. It is my big bugbear. And I have, over the years, bought so many cheap, crap spray bottles that I now go, no, I am buying the good stuff. So I don't want to give you a brand because it depends where you live, but what you need to think about is how solid the spray nozzle is on it. So test it out in the shop. And if you feel like it's a bit weak or a bit flimsy, avoid it. And you'll know by price. You'll look at it, the better quality ones will be dearer. And that just comes with the turf. But the thing is, if you buy, a $15 spray bottle versus a $5 or a $2 spray bottle, believe me, I've spent $1 on spray bottles and then had them literally, the trigger, die within a week. It's so frustrating. The $15 one, if it lasts you 2 years, you are still so far in front, it's not funny. So a couple of things that you can look for when it comes to getting spray bottles that are going to last you and be longer term a better option. Don't be scared to go with a glass bottle. So you can now buy glass spray bottles that come with a silicone sleeve on them so that there's less chance of them breaking. You're not going to bump them up against things. If they get knocked over, they're not going to break and smash on the ground. The glass won't degrade with essential oils and things like that in it. Thinner plastics, cheaper plastics, will sometimes be impacted by those oils going in there. And certainly I would say with a plastic bottle, once you've put a certain oil in that plastic bottle, you may not ever be able to use a different kind of oil in that plastic bottle. The smell will impregnate, I think that's the right word, impregnate. It'll permeate into the plastic wall of the spray bottle. And then if you tried to, like if you had eucalyptus and then you tried to put like peppermint in there, you might find that you get a weird mix where it's just eucalyptusy smelling peppermint because the plastic just hangs on to the oil. Whereas with glass ones, if you want to change the oil that you're using in that particular bottle, you simply put hot water into it and give it a really good wash out with hot water, and the glass won't hang on to the oil like a plastic bottle will. So you can change the smell or the disinfectant type of quality that you want from the oil with a glass bottle. Opaque and amber bottles. So a completely clear bottle with vinegar in it is not always a good thing. You want to store your vinegar, and I don't think I mentioned it before, but I buy my vinegar in bulk from Costco. We buy a box, and it is 2 litre bottles of this 4 2-litre bottles, so 8 litres, and it costs me about $5. It's so cheap, because I use it for everything. It is so cheap. But I store it in the cardboard box in a kind of dark area away from sunlight. You don't want vinegar sitting in sunlight. It's not good for it. It is UV sensitive. So having a bottle that is slightly opaque or amber coloured, that you can buy those glass bottles that have got a tint to them. If you've got one like that, use that to store anything that's got vinegar in it or essential oils because they will react to sunlight. If you've got just a glass bottle that you're using for other things, it depends. If you're storing your glass bottles in under your sink like most people do, then it's probably not in direct sunlight anyway, so it won't matter so much. But if you've got anything that sits up on a shelf anywhere where the sunlight would be getting to, then try and go for an opaque bottle or a coloured bottle. Adjustable nozzles. And again, you get what you pay for with these. I have busted so many trying to turn them from stream, the straight one, to mist. Have a fiddle with them in the shop. If they feel flimsy and like they're going to break while you're playing with them in the shop, then chances are they are going to break when you get home. So what you want is one that you can turn to different varying kind of streams. So you want it so that you can do like a jet stream if you really need it, but one that you can then turn to a complete mist to make it easier for you to apply to different surfaces without having just a stack of moisture, a stack of water, a stack of liquid on a surface. You want to be able to adjust it to what suits you and what suits your environment. Having it where it is versatile and you can change it really easy is fantastic. But again, check for flimsiness, because there's been times where I've gone to turn it from stream to mist and literally snapped the end of it off. And again, that's just cheap bottles. If they weren't cheap bottles, it wouldn't be an issue. They wouldn't snap like that. On my notes here, I have got avoid the dollar store bottles if using essential oils. They break down with plastics. Absolutely true. So if you can get a glass bottle, get the glass bottle. Like I say, if you spend $15 on a glass bottle, you think, wow, that's a really expensive. Like that's, have a look at what you're spending on the trigger pack disposable bottles that you're buying at the store, because believe me, you're going to be spending $15 on those within 3 purchases. And so if it lasts you a year, if your glass bottle lasts you a year, then it's probably paid itself back. So definitely worth investing in those ones. I'll try and find some on Amazon that are ones that I've liked or used before and post it on the social media. So if you're not following me on social media, make sure you jump onto Mojo Homestead on Facebook and Instagram. They're linked, both of those. So when I post on one, it posts on the other. So whichever one's your preference. And I'll try and post a couple on there that I know are good bottles that work. And that way you can see what I mean about the spending a little bit extra but getting a better quality. And it was a nice short episode this week. That is literally it for this week. I will try and get a blog post out and have all those recipes up and all the different things and tables for the oils and stuff like that, so that you can go and have a look at that. So if you haven't already visited the website, go to www.mojohomestead.net and I'll have something linked there so that you can see where the cleaning product stuff is. Go and have a look and see which ones you want to try. If you have a go at making up some of these ones, please post it on social media and link me in so that I can see that you're doing it. I literally will be your biggest cheerleader and yell hurrahs from the background. The other thing I wanted to mention is, and I did mention it last week, but we have expanded our range at our clothing store. So our clothing store is www.notthefarmerswife, all one word, lowercase, notthefarmerswife.com. And we have a made-to-order clothing store that we sell hoodies and T-shirts and seat covers and aprons and hooded snuggle blankets and a whole bunch of other stuff. And we've expanded the range with our hoodies and our T-shirts. They are Australian printed T-shirts. So they are made here in Oz and by an Australian company. So all the money stays in the country. You are helping support small businesses in Australia. So go along and have a look. And if there's something there that you like, jump on and grab it and know that you're keeping businesses afloat in Australia. I think a lot of businesses at the moment are having a really, really tough time of it. Certainly, I know a lot of farmers that are having a really tough time of it. The weather has not been in our favour. Go and have a look, see if there's anything you like. If there's something there that you kind of on the fence on, let me know, because I'm always updating and putting new stuff out there. Anyway, if you haven't checked out the other 2 episodes, I will put the links in the show notes as well. So it's episode 122 and 123. 122 was Toxic Truth and all about why you should ditch the chemicals. And 123 was the deep cleaning the natural way. So that was just the starter for what we've just discussed today. So go back and listen to those ones as well. I'll put all the stuff on the website. Go and try and make up one of these cleaning products and have a go and let me know what you think. Anyway, that is it for me for now. Have a great rest of the school holidays and I will talk to you all next week. Bye for now. Well, that's it for today's episode of Ditch the Store. If you're loving the journey to self-sufficiency, be sure to subscribe. You can also leave a review for us or share this episode with a friend who's ready to break up with their supermarket. If you've got questions or success stories, we'd love to hear about them on the socials. You can also find me at www.mojohomestead.net. Until next time, keep raising, growing and making. And remember, life's too short for store-bought eggs.